Hello and welcome to Precontation Points Video Snark. I read bad books so that you don't have to. I'm continuing my read-through of Breach by KI Lynn. Not the first video, go check out the others, links are posted below. Please be warned that this review contains adult material. I try my best to use metaphors and be vague, but sometimes you have to talk about a rooster. Chapter 3. The next morning, Delia briefly considers calling in sick to work, but quickly dismisses the idea. As she gets up, she finds bruises around her neck, and she's worried that there would be bite marks elsewhere. She can cover it up with her shirt since it's cold, but she isn't exactly happy about the entire thing. She's also insanely sore because of the encounter. She thinks about how Nathan has stormed out from the office in anger the night before, but eventually decides that there's nothing to be done about his issues, which, yes, good for you. I wish that more books would acknowledge that other people's emotional problems are not your problems. I don't think that this is going to last, but it's nice anyway. She gets dressed and heads out the door, but as she waits for the elevator, she's filled with the anxiety over the thought that Nathan could be on it, which probably means that it's time to move. However, he's not there, and when she gets to the office, his car is already there. But inside, she's more than a little surprised to find that he's come in and cleaned up their shared workspace. The cup he smashed is gone, the paper is straightened, the straight buttons picked up. Like, considering that this book revolves around two people banging who shouldn't be banging, I don't know why she's somehow surprised that he would have come in early to do all this. Nathan comes back into the room just then, and the main takeaway that I'm getting besides the awkwardness is how much regret that Nathan seems to have. They do not say anything to each other, literally nothing at all. As they go to sit down, Delilah finds a button that he'd missed and picks it up. She tells him that she likes his job and asks if he likes it here as well. He agrees, and I guess that's as much as we're going to get, that neither of them are going to speak about it, and they're not going to repeat it. I'm going to naturally assume that the rest of the book is about lawyers doing lawyer things and them politely respecting one another, and then be disappointed when it's not. As the week goes on, things are awkward between Delilah and Nathan. However, they both silently work and ignore one another. People notice Nathan's sour attitude but never suspect anything to do with Delilah. Delilah is only just thankful that the Boop Squad is keeping their distance. Caroline asks Delilah if she knows what's up with Nathan. Delilah feigns innocence, and Caroline goes on to say that Nathan was summoned to talk with Jack. However, the word is that he said it was a personal issue and that he'll work on it later. Delilah falls into a thoughtful mood and thinks about how psychotic that Nathan is, but that he hides it so well, and even in this awkward mood that he's in, nobody realizes just how deranged that he actually is. Caroline then changes the subject and starts to talk about Delilah's love life. She had been with somebody named Drew, but they broke up when Delilah's increasing work hours forced them to see each other less and less. It seems as though Delilah is still nursing that wound a little bit. Caroline then insists that Delilah needs to come out with her for drinks on Friday, and I get that you should kick your slightly mopey friend in the hiney to put themselves back out there and have some fun once in a while, but we've already had one scene featuring a sexual assault that was somehow wanted, so of course I'm going to say that Caroline sounds like a terrible friend for pushing Delilah to do something that she doesn't want to do. When Delilah gets back into the office following this, she finds Kelly there, harassing Nathan again. Nathan gives her a pointed, "Thanks, but I need to work," like, he literally looks her in the eye as he tells her this. It's the super polite way of saying, "F off, I'm busy, and I also don't like you." But Kelly is about as dense as a brick and can't take a hint. Delilah then comes to Nathan's rescue and tells Kelly to do X, Y, and Z. Apparently, Delilah outranks Kelly because the other woman is quick to submit to Delilah's tasks. After she leaves, Delilah tells Nathan that she got rid of Kelly because Delilah doesn't like the other woman. Delilah then tries to make chit-chat with him, saying a cheerful TGIF, and that at least he'll have a reprieve from his groupies. I wish every day was a reprieve. This is supposed to be a joke, right? Like, there's no way that somebody wrote this and intended for it to be read with a straight face. Nobody over the age of 16 talks like this, and only then teens would need to have the mopey emo haircut in order to unlock dialogue such as this. Much like I am, Delilah is so stunned by this absurd thing Nathan just said, and she doesn't say anything. More women show up, and Nathan keeps basically telling them that he's busy. Literally, the only way he can get them to leave is to promise to do something with them another day. And I know that I talk a lot about men needing to understand the meaning of the word no, but women need to understand it too. There's literally nothing about Nathan's behavior, his attitude, that should be giving any indication that he wants to spend time with them beyond necessary work requirements. But yet they seem to think that because he's a man, that it must mean that he's interested in them, right? Right? Delilah then goes to the bar and gets stupid drunk. As she staggers home, she briefly thinks about going to Nathan's unit to rub it into his face how she got home okay, but then dismisses the idea. However, she also wonders why it is that she's never run into him before, because their building only has 26 units. Chapter 4. Delilah spends her weekend like most of us do, sleeping in, wearing sweatpants, catching up on chores, and generally having zero desire to leave her home. A loud, insistent fist pounding on my front door startled me, and I ran to answer it. I released the deadbolt and pulled open the door to find Nathan standing in my doorway, his expression wild. She literally does not have a peephole. I practically you, Delilah. I mean, he really did. I think I'm just more startled that the book actually acknowledged that what Nathan did was up. And that pretty much sums it up. He's been on edge because he thought that Delilah would have not only reported him to Jack, but also to the police. However, in traditional every female lead in terrible books like this, she actually wanted it. I'm not saying that a girl can't like it a little bit rough. I'm saying that, you sound like a battered housewife. The guy pushed her up against the wall, ripped her clothes off, and had his way with her. Of course, he's worried about her mental health when she tries to laugh it off. But Delilah demands that he listen to her. She says that she never asked him to stop and goes out of her way to insist that she begged for more. It really doesn't excuse his actions. And I'm honestly sick of authors writing scenes that are literally just Nathan has worked himself up into a frenzy and tries to say that he came instead of her, but she says that she's clean and on birth control. She goes on to say that it was the best that she's had in a while. But then Delilah goes on to say that it's not like he'd ever want her again anyway. And you are so sexy, Lila, that all I can think of doing right now is bending you over that table and slamming it into you again and again. Hard. My rooster is like deal at the thought of being inside you again. You need to be punished for making me want you this much. I don't even have anything to say about this except maybe I had to read this and so do you. At least Nathan knows that she actually wants it this time and it isn't literally just forcing himself onto her. He then yells at her that he wants her so badly, which, yeah, I got that when you said that you wanted to bend her over the table, thanks. Delilah decides to take matters into her own hand and pushes him against the wall, says that this is payback for earlier. She then does oral stuff on him. He says some questionable things, but I'll let them slide since it's dirty talk. He offers up oral in return. They bang. There's honestly not much to say about it. As soon as they finish, Nathan pushes her away and says this, "Run while you can. Run away from me and don't look back. I'm not worth your life." Ah yes, who doesn't love an emotionally unavailable and emotionally unstable man? And then Delilah passes out. Chapter 5. Delia wakes up, briefly disoriented, and then remembers what happened. She then contemplates what Nathan last said to her, but this directly contradicts how he's obviously tucked her into bed and cleaned up a little before he left. She also wonders why her, especially when she knows that there are women throwing themselves at him. A couple of days pass. Delilah seems kind of upset that Nathan hasn't been to see her outside of work since that day, but his mood has improved. She also finds him looking at her a lot, but never when other people are around. The book then decides to bore us to tears with info about the law firm, the history, some of the other lawyers, the history of the workplace. Literally, nobody cares. Move on. Nathan calls to Delilah and asks if she's okay since she'd been staring at the same memo for the past 15 minutes. She insists that she is and that her thoughts did not star him. She insists that this is a lie to the readers, but mostly I'm just thinking of that really stupid info about the law firm that we were just subjected to for no real reason. Another member of the boob squad shows up named Jennifer. Wasn't it against the dress code to have your breasts hanging out of your top? I was beginning to think Jennifer hadn't read the memo or the one about fraternization. Ah yes, I love it when women trash another woman and then act like it somehow makes them better. Although my bar is set at least is not pretending to be feminist, so good job, book. Delilah decides to just leave and heads out for lunch while fuming about the entire thing. She collects Caroline and the two of them head out together. As they're going, Delilah complains about all the women constantly coming and going. She goes a step further and remarks that if these women actually bothered to look past Nathan's exterior, they'd realize that he's only ever looking at them with contempt, not romantic interest. Caroline is only just pleased that Delilah is attracted to Nathan with the idea that she hasn't expressed an interest in anybody since Drew. She reminds Delilah of her promise to go clubbing with her that Friday. When Delilah gets back into the office, she finds Kelly there instead. Delilah tells the readers that Kelly is only 19 and then thinks about how some men go for that kind of much younger girl. Delilah tries to remind Kelly to do her actual job and pointedly asks her to do the task she'd asked the girl to do that morning. Kelly, however, is apparently in a sour mood over being dismissed and is like, yeah, I'll do it later. However, Delilah gets on the younger woman's case about not doing her job. As soon as Kelly leaves, Delilah rants at Nathan to tell him that he should be doing more to discourage them. And I get that not all of it is on Nathan. After all, the narration has gone out of its way to show the girls refusing to leave, even when he pointedly tells them to. Even when he pointedly tells them that he's busy, they insist on doing something with him another time. But I'm honestly kind of in agreement with Delilah that Nathan should talk with Jack about the constant harassment he's facing, which probably prevents him from doing his job to the best of his abilities. However, Nathan is having none of her victim blaming and kinda calls her out on her hypocrisy. Delilah then throws a stapler, but misses and it breaks, because she's mature like that. She then asks why he puts up with the boorish behavior of the other women in the office. He insists that he's trying to make friends so they'll do more things for him down the road. And part of me gets where he's coming from, but he knows exactly what those women want and why they're constantly flocking into their shared workspace. There's a line between being friendly and sexually harassing somebody at work, and those ladies don't seem to know the difference. However, Delilah is done with his BS and reminds him that she's seen what he's hiding behind his pleasant work persona, and it's ugly. Thanks for listening to my book, Snark, on YouTube. New videos are up every Monday, but stick around because I sometimes drop random videos on other days too. Just as a reminder, even if you can't financially support me, there are other ways to support me. The first is watching this video as well as all of my other videos. It's also important to like and subscribe. Finally, you can share this video with all of your friends so that they can help as well. If you're already caught up with all of my videos, you can go to Tumblr for my main book, Snarks, always free and updated every morning. And if you've already read all of my main snarks, then you can find even more snark on my Patreon. You can access it for $1 a month. Plus, you also get early access to my main Tumblr snark. Special thanks to Dawn, Phoebe, and Nikki for supporting me on Patreon already. If you want to hear your name in my video next week, either support me on Patreon or make a one-time donation. Do you like my snarks so much that you want me to snark your writing? I do that too. For just $3 per chapter, I will tell you how awful that your writing is. But not to worry if you feel like you couldn't take the criticism. I also offer regular book editing as well. $3 for every 5,000 words. You can contact me on any of my social media platforms if you have further questions. If you want to read some of the things that I've written, you can purchase my works on Amazon. I have a slew of erotic short stories and now 2 full-length novels. I also sometimes run flash sales on my stories, and if you don't follow me on any social media, you might want to do so just so you can know when I might be offering more things for free. Links for everything will be posted below. See you next week, guys.